What's up, you guys? Welcome back to Kaiju Reviews. It's your buddy Kaiju here, and today I am reviewing Transformers Revenge of the Fallen Rampage. I gotta say, Rampage, I don't exactly have a favorite Decepticon, but I would say that Rampage definitely is on the high side of that list of my liked Decepticons. Of course, all y'all probably already know my favorite Autobot is Bumblebee. Rampage was in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, and he was killed by Bumblebee. Sorry, Rampage. You did. No one can match up to my most favorite Autobot. Put that down. Good. Let's get a 360 of the... Well, first, let me just say this. This form is not movie accurate. This form right here, this is more like of a crab-like form for him, and you'll see why I'm saying that in just a second, but this is not his correct form. And that is why, as you can see, he has two legs here and then his two legs here. It's like he's in a crab-like formation. And I don't like it. And he has heavy backpack. I don't like that. Normally, I just remove this here area. I could just move it off right here, just pluck it off. I have to plug it off whenever I transform it because that thing is so huge, and pause on that. And yeah, it gets in the way. And some of y'all probably recognize where I got Paul's from. I got that from Dash EXP. Not stealing it. I just watched so many of his videos. It grew on me. Anyways, here is the figure. I liked his head sculpt. His head sculpt is pretty nice. Look at that. He's got that mean Decepticon look. And he's got his treads right here. They're sculpted pretty nicely. Got underneath them. Got his hands right here. Got all these gears and whatnots. And here's his leg. Gotta twist that around. See the legs. He ain't even got no toes. He's got pegs. It's like deer feet or something. Let's get into the articulation of this figure. Well, these things here move, and these here could be used as cannons. Just boosh. You know, he can have these as cannons. Just move these back up. His head lifts up and doesn't really go down. Does not look side to side, and very, very slight pivoting because his head is just one piece right here. So it can get some up and down motions, but very little pivoting. His arms come all the way up like this here, and you can get a whole 360 in his arms. And his hands right here come open like this here. We can just move the tread in place like this, and you can just take just move his hand down, have this right here, and just move this over it, and have him hold it, and just have it like whipping, and it just slid out. But his hands do open and close, just open, close. His legs I do not like. Oh, came unpegged. Don't like it because they're spring loaded. And if you move, I'll show that in a minute. But he can move inward this much. See what I mean? They're spring loaded. I don't like that. And they move side to side like this, stretch all the way out. There is no toe, so there is no ankle pivoting, move, functioning, anything like that. Oh, he fell over. Well, this concludes his first form. Now let's get into his form that was actually in the movie. So what you're going to want to do is you want to come around here. You're going to want to close this up and peg it in. There's pegs right there, as you can see. Just peg it. Take his legs, move it upward like this. Move this downward. Move this downward and peg it in and have it like this. Just do the same for this side. And then you're going to take his legs, straighten them out, twist them, and then bring them in together. And as you can see, that gigantic peg right there is going to peg into that hole right there. Just And there's another peg right there, and they're all just gonna peg together. And then the flaps on the back of his knees, you're gonna put those down. And here is his movie accurate form. He isn't going to stand unless you have him like this. This is his movie accurate form right here. And that spring-loaded action, I don't like that. Just see, I don't like this spring loading. Wish they could have just left it like how they made all the other figures, but Hasbro's, we gotta talk about that. And you get him jumping around like he was in the movie. Well, this concludes for his second form. Now let's get him into his transformation form. Now, what I do not recommend doing this, but I have done it all the time. I'm just gonna detach this bucket right here. Just gonna do this, and we're just gonna set him right here for right now. We're gonna transform his bucket first. So what you're gonna want to do is just pull this apart like this, and see those pegs right there. You're just gonna want to peg that in as so. Do the same for this side. You want to bring these down, and this silver tip right here, you're going to want to hide that. So hide that in there, and wow, actually reflects light. That's pretty cool. Okay, and do the same for this side. Hide the shiny, and then this here is just going to move around freely. So we're just going to leave that like that, and this is his bucket. And we're just going to set this aside until we get our Rampage figure transformed where we can reattach this. I'm just going to set this aside. And I hit the camera. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I did not mean to hit the camera. Alrighty, let's get into this figure. Okay, we have his legs already pushed together. Now, as always, straighten out all of his limbs. First thing we're going to do is going to work with his arms. His arms, besides all the pegging, is probably the most difficult. So what you're going to want to, I'm going to dismantle it for a second. You're going to want to take this part here, bring it all the way around like this, push this in. And for these treads, you're going to want to, they're stretchy. Well, not really. You can see it stretching a little. You're going to want to wrap it around this wheel, this gear right here. And you're going to want to stretch it. And then this little part right here is going to peg in right there. There we go. Fairly difficult to get that there, and if there's any treads overlapping the gear, you can just maneuver it around and fix that up a little bit, and I did not peg that in right. And there we go, pegged it. And do the same for this side as well. I hate doing this. I hate doing this part. I hardly ever transform this figure. It actually took me a minute to remember how to transform this figure. Okay, we got his arms transformed. Now I'm just going to move it back so that way I can show y'all the rest of the process properly. Okay, repeg this. Bring this down. Peg that down. Move up. Okay. So now we have his arms transformed. Now we're going to start with his head. What you're going to do, unpeg this, pull this down. Just put right here and just lift this up and bring all of that down. And then lift his head up like you see, just lift it up. And you're going to want to bring all of this down and just shut him up. Yeah, we're just going to shut him up. And then just remove all of these things here. Push this back up. Push this back up. And then his legs, you're going to want to twist these all around. And these slots right here are going to peg in with these gray pieces right here. So we're going to move this out of the way. And it is fairly difficult to get these things to peg in. Very difficult. There we go. Got that pegged in. Now I'm going to move his arms inward, and it just came unpegged. Well, we're just going to move his arms inward. Repeg that. And then his hand, you're going to want to switch them over. And as you can see, this thing is a mess. But I'm going to reposition this thing. This here, you're going to lift this up and bring it down and cover his rear end. These things here, just going to flip over. Tuck this in here. And this part right here, you're going to want to flip this up. So that way we can attach our bucket. And his bucket, I'm just going to spread this out a little bit. That's what she said. Not really. Bad joke, I know. And then just going to reattach. There we go. Now we're just going to fold that downward. And now it broke. Can y'all see that? That whiteness in there? That's this peg right there. Man. That's what I get. And now right here, we're just gonna peg this in right in here. That peg break just really bummed me out just then. Reposition this, and this here is gonna tag in there. This here has another peg hole. It's not that bad, but still yet. I do not like my figures being messed up in any kind of way. And now we're just gonna do this, and then there he is in his robot. Not robot. Really bummed out about that. That sucks. Well, this is his transformed mode. He does roll very slightly, and I got his things back here mixed up. But this is his transformation. Gosh darn it. Here he is compared to his destroyer, Bumblebee. Bumblebee killed him in the movie. He is side by side with his destroyer. You killed me! Guys, this is going to conclude this figure review, and I'm still a little bit bummed out about that part right there being broken. But hey, it's not, it could have been worse, I'm not as bummed out about it as I was. But this concludes this figure review. Please like, share, subscribe, leave me a comment down below. And if you want any of the figures that I have reviewed and you cannot find them at a local retailer such as Walmart, Toys R Us, Kmart, anything of the such, you can get them at www.bigbadtoystore.com. Amazing service. I mean, I've had a couple of conversations with the customer service via email. That's how you contact customer service. They do not have a telephone hotline or anything